Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, Diddy The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around and document his life. That footage ended up going to 50 Cent.
And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. You know, Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up, and you know they got him on the phone. Man, he was just talking. We was talking about old time shit. You know, sit down with Black Hands, sit down with with Puff kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be.
Footage that was supposed to make it into 50 Cent's Diddy documentary suddenly vanished. Now people are questioning why Snoop Dogg's name keeps getting dragged into the controversy when he isn't even mentioned in the court files. Gene Deal hinted at powerful protective figures and cut material, and suddenly the internet decided it knew exactly who he was talking about.
Check out this audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey over that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold on. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in to light it up and ride it up. We never used to hand. Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay. You know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. We grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it?
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. And Pac died and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then it just, okay, now you can say what you want. You all grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then I think it was weird, it was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say.
Netflix dropped Reckoning in December 2025, produced by 50 Cent. And here's the wild part, most of that footage came straight from Diddy himself. He'd been filming his own life for years, probably planning to use it to cement his legacy, but instead it ended up in 50's hands. Diddy's legal team struck back fast, calling it stolen material, but by then the damage was done. The documentary was no longer just about one man. People started scrutinizing every frame, every name mentioned, every old connection, hunting for the next person to fall.
I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy or one of the dudes from our deep, as if I was with. They don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door, doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with your and Pop? You got a problem with Pop? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pop. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I already, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pop. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page do that. Well, Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on them but I'm the type of person, I never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pop, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes, and if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem, I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pop just had died. You know what I mean? Like, he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like, I really felt.
And that's when Snoop's name started trending. Not because he's in the documentary, not because any court documents mention him, but because the internet loves a good mystery, and Gene Deal dropped just enough crumbs to make it run wild. Deal has been doing interviews for months, hinting at footage that didn't make the cut, talking about people too powerful or too protected to expose. She never said Snoop's name outright, but the comment sections filled in the blanks themselves. Old clips resurfaced. Old friendships were re-examined. Suddenly, every photo of Snoop and Diddy from the late 90s was treated like evidence of something nobody could actually prove.
Diddy was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, is he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay.
Has a relationship
with Netflix. I knew that.
With
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there, but of course, when you get, obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got, and what we'll do, we'll make it what it is, because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, this was malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy, but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error. Ooh. So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist, and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this, and they went to the filmers and said, hey.
But then Suge Knight decided to throw gasoline on the fire. Fresh accusations in 2025, same old grudge. Suge claims Snoop tried bailing out Key, a man allegedly tied to Tupac's asterisk writer. He's also pushing a story that Tupac slapped Snoop after the 96 VMAs and that Snoop trade-packed by coming up to Diddy right after his D38H. Here's the part people keep missing. Suge and Snoop's beef isn't new. It's not about loyalty to Tupac. It's about money, power, and a decades-long war over death row records. Suge has been in prison since 2018, and every few months he drops another accusation. None of them have led to charges. None of them have been verified, but hear the same story enough times and repetition starts to sound like truth.
We're going to look at this through the prism of a modern-day rhetorical genius. A modern-day rhetorical genius. We're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else, and really what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is in fact rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, he dropped this doc, this 50, this Sean Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And one of the things that he does is he breaks down Diddy's character on Diddy's own terms.
And yeah, that Steve Harvey clip didn't help. Snoop and Diddy sitting side by side laughing about East Coast versus West Coast like it was all just entertainment. This was after Tupac was gone, after Biggie was gone, and people noticed and questioned it. Some called it moving on, others called it suspicious. But here's where it gets messy. Snoop publicly supported 50 Cent's documentary. If he was worried about what might come out, why would he back a project that's supposed to expose everyone?
Because he wanted them to, both Suge and Pac.
In the car?
They only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right, Corey? He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000, and that money never went to Keefe D or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain, because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So long story short, this whole thing isn't recording that he said this. So what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million. Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower. Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just gonna start making y'all disappear. Man, first I'm gonna take your records off the radio. Then I'm gonna erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out flies. I'm gonna do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million, just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head, and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up?
Nice.
I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
Gene Deal's interviews are what really fueled this. He's Diddy's former bodyguard, so people treat his words like gospel. He's hinted at material that didn't air, stories too dangerous to tell, names too big to drop. Social media ran with it, theories piled up. But when you actually look at the footage he's talking about, when you search for proof, it's not there. What we have are clips from old interviews, speculation from podcasters, and a lot of what-ifs.
For being out there and allowing Nisha to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like yo, I ain't never fucking with her again, and I ain't never fucking with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool a brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, you know, Suge made Puff feel like I'm gonna get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason he was mad at Puff, and Puff, for whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead, and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy, and it was Death Row. It wasn't no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast niggas was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, bro. And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I gotta get at the Suge. The Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out the between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on him behind that.
So what you mean by more?
So I don't know where you get all the extras from, but they had a conversation at the hospital and all that. That's absolutely not true. Say less, if you know what I mean. But instead of just saying less, since I've been in here, Snoop and other people been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raising them trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much. They even had somebody talk to me and say, hey, you can help him get free. I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to nobody county jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life. Hell no. I ain't wishing bad on him at all, because I don't want to see nobody go to prison. And like I told you last time, as I find out more details about certain things, I probably would go to the Vegas County Jail if me and Keefy D with Sellies. We have a good conversation after I give him, 6 upside his head, another 6 in his body, and another 2. But yeah, that's definitely didn't happen with Snoop didn't go to the hospital. That's a lot.
Fast forward to 2025 and 2026, and this is where the narrative completely falls apart. While Diddy's sitting in a cell, Snoop's performing at the Golden Globes, showing up at Trump's inauguration, living his life in front of cameras. If anyone's panicking, if anyone's hiding, they're doing the worst job in history. Zero legal documents mention his name in connection to any of this. Zero official investigations have linked him to Diddy's charges. The silence from law enforcement isn't protection, it's the absence of evidence.
Just got out the gym, doing my workout box. Shit, you right. History would repeat itself. Cause nigga, you wasn't the only nigga in the room, nigga. You wasn't by yourself. It was other people in the room too. I'm not gonna say no names, cause like you said, we don't talk. So why you on here talking? Let that go, man. And as far as Snoop and Corrupt writing my album, you ask them niggas that. Them niggas ain't wrote my album. Corrupt helped me with Do You See? Snoop helped me with This DJ. Other than that, everything else I wrote. So that's where you wrong at again. And as far as the tough guy, do you recall when we was at the World Club and then said Death Row and NWA? Who fired on that? Me. When you was at the Comedy Store, fighting that little buff ass at the Comedy Store, who saved your motherfucking ass? Me and C-Staff. So what have I done to you? For you to launch out at me? Look, don't get mad at me, man. I ain't never done nothing to you. I wasn't signed to you.
But the internet doesn't care about that. Courtney Burgess shows up claiming he's got Kim Porter's flash drives allegedly packed with names and secrets. Porter's own children came out and said the material is fake, that their mother's memory is being exploited. Didn't matter, the name still got thrown around. Snoop's name still ended up in the mix, not because it was on the drives, but because people wanted it to be there. That's how rumors work now. Repeat something enough times across enough platforms, and it starts to feel real even when there's nothing backing it up. Suja's been doing this for years. Every interview, every phone call from prison, he's got a new story about Snoop. According to him, Snoop's been a snake since the 90s, working with enemies, hiding secrets. But official investigations, they've never gone anywhere. No charges, no warrants, no subpoenas, just accusations from a man with every reason to want Snoop's reputation destroyed.
In a documentary, there's a couple things I'll share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps. Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
So that doesn't mean it's not true. Of
course.
But they relied on stolen footage, okay, is what they relied on. And then they ask about the history of 50 and him, issue that they've had. What's the one you just pulled up, Rob?
This is where they talk about the feud, and then I also have 50 Cent talking about Diddy's reaction to the documentary.
Yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. But watch this one here. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that part, right? The fact that the feud with the two of them, hey, let me take you shopping. Like, you say that to a girl in 50s, like, what are you talking about? Take me shopping. How do you ever flip a mind? You want to take me shopping? And then last but not least, Rob, the other clip you have of 50 is talking about how he thinks Diddy's going to like this documentary. Go ahead, Ron.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
She can't even hold it.
Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see.
People forget the context. Suge and Snoop's feud isn't about Tupac, it's about business, about control. Death Row fell apart, fortunes were lost, and Suge has been pointing fingers ever since. The fact that these accusations keep resurfacing doesn't make them true, it makes them a pattern. And here's what social media does best. It takes that pattern and turns it into proof. One clip leads to another. One old photo gets reposted 1,000 times. Someone stitches together a timeline that sounds convincing until you realize it's built on alleged conversations, disputed claims, and zero verified evidence. The algorithm rewards engagement, not accuracy. So the wildest theory wins, even if it's nonsense. People said Snoop went radio silent after the documentary dropped, that he's been hiding, avoiding the topic, staying offline. Except that's not even close to true. He's been performing, posting, doing interviews. The man's not in hiding, the internet just wanted him to be. Let's be clear about what's real. Diddy's convicted. He's facing serious charges backed by evidence, testimony, and federal investigations. That's not speculation, that's court record. Snoop's situation, entirely different, old industry connections, a decades-old beef with Suge Knight, and a name tossed in comment sections. That's it. No evidence, no charges, no case. The documentary footage people keep talking about, the stuff Gene Deal hinted at, is either not real, not relevant, or not what people think it is. 50 Cent's team has said the doc focuses on Diddy's actions, his alleged crimes, his legal downfall. They're not going after random celebrities because of old friendships or industry politics. So what actually happened here? A man who's been in the public eye for 30 years got caught in the blast radius of someone else's collapse. Diddy went down hard, and everyone who ever stood next to him became a suspect in the court of public opinion. Suge Knight saw an opportunity to revive old beef. Gene Deal gave vague interviews that let people fill in the blanks. Social media did what it does best, turned speculation into narrative, narrative into belief. Strip away the clickbait, the stitched clips, the podcast theories, and what's left? No verified footage, no legal action, no official investigation, just noise. Here's the part people miss. When a giant falls, everyone nearby gets splattered. That doesn't make them guilty, it makes them convenient. The real question isn't whether Snoop's panicking, hiding, or caught up in something he can't escape. The real question is whether we still care about facts when rumors spread faster, sound better, and get more views. Guilt by association, or just another internet witch hunt?